Could you tell me about the order of the medieval planets?
Yeah, there was, as I say, there were 7, and they came in this order. First of all, the Moon, then Mercury, in the 3rd heaven, Venus, in the 4th heaven, the Sun. The Sun, remember, is a planet in these days, long before astronomers had discovered Uranus or Neptune or Pluto. Above the Sun was the sphere of Mars, then that of Jupiter, and finally, in the 7th heaven, Saturn. And occasionally, even today, you still hear people saying, I was in the 7th heaven of delight. You ever heard that phrase?
Yes,
Is that used?
yes, I have.
Yeah. And it's delightful to be in the 7th heaven, because in the 7th heaven you are furthest away from Earth, with all its troubles and problems, and nearest to the home of God.
Okay.
Because above the 7th heaven came the sphere of the fixed stars, as it was called. The planets move in their own unique paths, but the fixed stars are the constellations which move in formation. They don't wander. A planet is literally a wanderer. So above the 7th heaven came the sphere of the fixed stars, and above that was a sphere, so it was believed, without any heavenly bodies in it at all. No stars, no planets. It was called the primum mobile. And this sphere just rotated on its own, and it conveyed movement to all the lower spheres.
Okay.
And this primum mobile was moved by the love of God. And that's why in Dante's great poem, the Divine Comedy, you have the famous line about the love which moves the sun and the other stars.
And what was outside?
And outside the primum mobile, well, was God's home itself.
Okay.
That took you outside the created order altogether.
Okay.
The primum mobile and everything below it was part of God's creation, but outside the primum mobile was the uncreated home of God.
Okay. So the universe was rimmed around by God in some respect.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it. Yes, I mean it depends on your point of perspective, because sometimes the medieval people regarded themselves as the centre, with the heavens rotating around us. But actually, that is itself something of a trick of perspective, and really, the centre of everything is God's home, and we are at the circumference, not at the centre.
Okay. They say we're outside the city wall.
Outside the city wall, yes.
We see that in the Narnian world, don't we? Where Aslan's country rims around the entire Narnia
Yes, that's right. Because in the last battle, you remember they're heading westward the whole time to get to Aslan's country.
Yeah.
But in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, they're heading eastward, and that's when Reepicheep goes over the edge of the world and enters Aslan's country.